I feel it in my plums.
What are you talking about?
That I don't know.
That's an outtake from a movie with Will Ferrell and Jeremy Piven.
Which one is that?
It's the one with the car salesman one.
Oh, I've never seen that one.
Car salesman.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel it in my plums.
He was like a shady car. They were
used car salesmen.
They were dueling car salesmen or something like that, right?
No. They were used car salesmen where I think the dealership was gonna like close down unless they sold like 100 cars in a weekend.
Oh, I did see that movie.
So then
What was
he's doing everything.
I
to,
thought
like,
I saw every single Will Ferrell movie that's out there.
Well, it's not really him. I think he just does a cameo.
That's probably the reason why I haven't seen
And
it
there's
yet.
a scene where he goes like, "Ooh, I feel it in my plums, like deep down in my plums."
Is it similar to his incredible cameo where he like channels Ric Flair on what is it, Eastbound and Down? I think.
Oh, I haven't
seen that either.
All right, wait, Mandalorian, let's go.
Dude, he channels Ric freaking Flair. He's like, he acts like Rick. He has blonde hair.
Woo!
He goes woo, like I forgot what the heck. I think he's a baseball like owner or something like that. And
That
he,
sounds
like,
about right.
He's like a
Like from,
semi-villain.
Texas and stuff?
And like he's
This was
totally
a show?
channeling Rick, Eastbound
You
and
never
Down.
heard of Eastbound and
No,
Down?
I have.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have.
Yeah,
I have.
Eastbound and Down. I believe it's Eastbound and Down.
Because there's one where he's like a soccer coach or something like that, right?
I don't know about that one.
There's a movie with Will Ferrell where he's like a soccer coach.
I remember the
and he's like the most
basketball one.
extreme. Well, and he's also done ice skating too.
Yes. Blades
So,
of Glory.
Blades of Glory, something
of
like
Glory.
that. Very, very strange, very weird movie.
it
And then
That's
what
so
the heck is
dope.
it? Something pro, semi-pro. Was the basketball?
Was the
one.
basketball one? Yeah.
It's so good.
Can't remember the other. Did you see the Between Two Ferns movie?
Stop.
No, I have not. I have not.
Okay.
I'm gonna press the button. Don't make me do
The
it.
button's already on.
The
so-
Mandalorian.
Oh, God, he did
The
it.
Mandalorian.
All right,
The
let's go.
Mandalorian.
You ready to go into the
Actually did
Mandalorian?
it. He actually did it.
Did
Finally. You guys ready?
What? Did what?
He started recording.
Did what? Good.
He recorded.
Good. I wanted all of you to hear that. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Get Geek, and we're going to talk about episode, or you know what? They're chapters. We're talking about Chapter 7 and Chapter 8 of The Mandalorian. Let's get right into it. What did you guys think of the episode?
Whoa. We're not going to introduce ourselves?
Nah, man.
You know who you are.
No. Seriously.
I'm
go.
sorry. I'm just so excited to talk about it.
Let's
I'm
go.
Jose.
I'm Wolfie.
This is AJ.
This is Walt.
Some tired form of Eli.
You're always tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do
Credit
like
to-
oh, sorry.
Yeah, credit to the chocolate milk.
Oh no,
Yeah,
not
that's
the
your
chocolate
caffeine.
milk. Not the chocolate milk.
That's your form of caffeine. We're drinking some coffee to like sort of. Well, I mean, I got
think
enough
we're
energy
awake.
to talk
I
about
got
the
energy.
Mandalorian.
I got
think.
energy now. Yeah.
I definitely
It's
got
the
energy to talk about
Mandalorian,
this,
so.
especially since like okay, I'll give. Or, should we give impressions of both episodes, or let's start with episode 7 and we'll move on to episode
No,
8.
Let's do
no,
it because
see,
I think they kind of blend
Yeah.
into each other.
I-
That's
Yeah, they do
personally, I
blend
think
in
that we
really
should
well.
speak about episodes 7 and 8 together as one episode. In my
Yeah, I
opinion.
agree.
It's
Yeah.
like what you enjoyed about the first 3 episodes. They're like
Absolutely.
almost a movie
Yeah.
if you put the 2 of them together. So okay, so my impressions, these were to me, besides episode 3, easily the best episodes of the first season, the best chapters of the first season. The action was fantastic, and the emotional payoffs that they've been building to, even in some of the filler episodes, was great. I loved it. I want to give chapter 7, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. Chapter 8, I will give a 9 out of 10 because chapter 8 to me was almost perfect, except for something that Walt and Wolfie pointed out to me that I do definitely agree with at this point, and we'll talk about that, or you guys can give your opinion on that. So what else did you guys think? What did you think of the episodes?
No, I thought the episodes were great. It's given that we had episode 7, then Rise of Skywalker, and then or chapter 8 rather, not episode 8 in between. It just underscores the fact that there is a good possibility to have great Star Wars stories told from Disney. So, I think it's amazing, and it's I think an awesome way to end this first season.
Apparently, only Dave Filoni can do it, and with the help of Jon Favreau and Taika Waititi, and nobody else can. Why?
I kneel at the temple of Dave Filoni.
Why they didn't include him in the movies at all is a mystery. But I don't know. That's a topic for another time.
Yes.
What about you? What'd you think?
I thought that both episodes 7 and 8 were phenomenal. I'm not stressing too much about the thing that you guys wound up pointing out, that we're going to talk about later, but God, it really is a wonder why. It makes me upset now because if we've had a guy like this helming what was 7, 8, and 9, how much better would it have been?
Yeah, they could have even taken the same sort of similar story and just reworked it with like the eye for Star Wars detail that they have and the eye for the themes of Star Wars and all
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Walt?
Just to before I talk about it, just to top off what you were talking about, the difference between the show and the movies is that the fan service that was done in the movies was forced. The stuff that's been put into the shows is organic and it makes sense and it ties back canon perfectly, not just for the sake of saying, hey fans, here's an Easter egg. They take those Easter eggs and they blend it and weave it into the show beautifully.
Into the Filoni-verse.
Exactly. So
Right.
that's why I
like
say
that Filoni-verse.
yeah, the Filoni-verse.
Well, basically.
Yeah, it is because I mean,
It's like what happened to this thing, and we find out
right,
here
exactly.
what
you know.
happened to this
And
thing from like
we'll get into that because
previous
that's a
Filoni
big
lore.
thing, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It's a huge thing.
For me, chapter 7 and 8 is a return to the thing that I love the Mandalorian for, was the world building, the mythology and stuff that I think was lacking in the middle part of the season.
I think the world building was still good in the middle,
It
but I
was,
understand. I
but-
understand like the thread was what
Right,
was missing,
exactly.
maybe. The
It
thread through the
just
story
it just didn't
to a certain
flow.
extent.
They were more filler episodes. They were more, the plot of the week, the thing that they had to do of the week. This goes back to the whole. We're back to the organic storytelling and stuff. I thought they were fantastic. I mean, again, you put this as a film and throw it into the movie theaters, and I guarantee you it'll probably do even better than Rise of Skywalker because it flowed so well.
Bet.
This would redeem Star Wars movies for fans if this were movies, because you could have made this into a trilogy very easily with all of the material.
Those first 3 chapters easily was a movie in of itself. I mean, you had the first, second, and the third act. You know what I'm saying?
You might have had,
and you left it with a cliffhanger.
and I'll agree. You might have had like a slightly less meaty than you want middle or second act,
Right? Yeah.
But still, I think that there would be some payoffs because of what we got in the end.
Right.
What about you, Eli?
Eli.
What do you think?
2 things. I'm glad it had nothing to do with Rise of Skywalker. Number 2, I thought it was very juicy and like
Juicy.
the storyline and the character building and all of that, especially with the main villain that comes up in the 7th episode. Yeah, and that's basically it. I can't really explain anything else without going into spoiler territory.
Which we're about to. So we loved it. We freaking loved it. So
I gotta say one thing. It's obviously Disney can. We obviously agree that Disney can give out good stories, good
man.
Star Wars stories, but it isn't that difficult because there's so much in the Star Wars universe that it should not be that difficult to create a good storyline. I don't know why they couldn't do that in the movies.
The
It's
sequel-
not that hard to pick a few storylines that fans already love and just run with that,
I mean, the
So-
simple difference, right, is the sequel trilogy answered questions that nobody asked. The
Yeah.
Mandalorian
Yeah.
answered questions that the
Makes
biggest
sense.
fans had on
Yeah.
their mind.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the difference between. That's what you said, Walt, about it being organic.
Yeah. So then, can we start spoiling stuff? Because I'm itching.
Yes. Spoiler, 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 spoiler alert, spoiler alert. We're going to get into spoilers. And if you guys didn't notice, we're about to talk about spoilers. So, Deets, guys, tell me what you think in detail about this episode, about these episodes, chapters.
Do you guys want to go around and talk about your one favorite scene or one favorite part of the show?
That's really hard
between 7 and 8. Pick one episode that you guys enjoy, or not episode, but like pick one scene or storyline that you guys enjoyed the most out of
tough.
everything.
I already know.
I already know mine's too.
So what do you guys
Perfect.
think?
See,
Let us
not
know.
that tough.
There
I
you
know
go.
mine also. Go ahead. I'll save mine for last.
Don't say it.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to.
Don't say it.
Spoilers.
Say it.
The TIE fighter scene where what's his name, Moff Gideon,
Moff
cuts
Gideon.
himself out with, get this, the dark saber.
Damn, he went in right
Wait,
away.
Straight to the end.
Oh wait, no, that's not it for me.
All right, so then
Oh, okay.
let's hear yours.
No.
No.
Continue,
Go ahead.
continue.
Go.
Okay, okay.
Come on.
So, my favorite scene, and I think it was, second favorite actually.
No, you got to pick one.
What?
You got to pick
Your
one.
first
Gotta
favorite,
pick
bro.
one. Only one.
Okay, so then keep going.
What? No.
How do you not
Let's
know
go.
what
You're
your
on the
first
mic. You're on
favorite
You
the
said
mic.
you were ready.
How would you know it's your second favorite if you don't know what your first favorite is?
Okay, just keep going.
No. What is it?
Okay.
Tell us. Tell us.
Okay, I got it. When the armorer is sitting down,
Oh yes.
and the stormtroopers come rushing
Boy,
in,
these
and
scenes
she
are going
doesn't,
quick.
and she doesn't do anything until that one nudge on the head. She gets up and starts beating them, bro. Oh.
Yeah,
Right,
that
they put
was
a
pretty
blast into
amazing.
her.
no
Right.
no weapons involved.
I'm still thinking
mind
mine,
you.
So you guys.
For an
She
armor,
used a
everything
hammer.
is a weapon.
Oh well, yeah,
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Like, what if, like, because she's an armorer, those are the weapons that she's mastered?
Yeah, it could be.
Well, what about you? What's your favorite scene before someone else
Boy,
takes it?
okay. They've already taken two of my favorites already, so now I gotta think.
Well, you can
Gotti.
agree with them. You can just
Yeah,
you
but
know, you don't
I
have to.
think we need to flesh out more of the episodes by doing other
We shall.
scenes.
Diversify. I got it.
I'm going to say the scene, the IG11 scene.
Oh,
Which one?
Starting with him taking Baby Yoda and coming back into the town.
That was freaking
That
awesome.
that was
That was so awesome.
And listen, I know we're picking a lot of Chapter 8 things, but there was a lot to like in Chapter 7 as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Fantastic.
And so don't get us wrong by thinking that it's all about Chapter 8 here. But Chapter 8 is kind of like the one that's freshest in our minds. And
I mean,
it
it's
did
also
have-
the meatiest. Come on.
Right,
It
and,
is-
but
it is.
it also did have the most action scenes out of all of them. And like I said, him on the IG11 on the speeder bike going through the town and just blasting random stormtroopers was amazing, and protecting Baby Yoda all the way. So that's
Okay.
that's my scene.
Okay. I like this may not end up being my favorite, but the one that definitely gave me the most Star Wars feels was Baby Yoda turning the flames back on that flame trooper.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was
yeah.
pretty
Shock
awesome.
trooper.
The shock trooper. That was pretty awesome. And again, there's so many great moments, but like right now, that's the one that kind of sticks and maybe the most emotional. It's like, oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna like really show off his power, and everyone's gonna see it. So that was that episode that moment was really good for me.
Can I just mention my favorite scene from Chapter 7,
Yeah.
Okay.
where the client gets blown to hell?
What? That's your favorite scene? Oh my god.
Loved that because it came out of
No.
nowhere. It
loved
was
how-
like I thought I was gonna see more of this guy, but no.
That's exactly why I think to me it's like my least favorite because I really, really like the client and I'm sad that I'm not going to see him anymore.
Yeah, there's that, but
My favorite scene, my favorite scene or my favorite kind of like storyline is the moment, and I think everyone here already knows what my
Yeah.
favorite scene is, but it's the moment that they finally confirm canon that Mandalorians are not a race. Okay? It's a creed. Well, what's with the grunts? What's with the
because
grunts?
someone may
Sorry,
not have taken a
just-
creed. I don't know.
You did say that.
Don't put that out there. He's definitely don't put that out there. He was made a Mandalorian. Boba Fett's made a Mandalorian. This show basically confirms
Do we know that?
that Boba Fett
Do we
is a
know that,
Mandalorian.
though?
Yes, we know that.
I
Okay,
don't think so.
Come on, why are you such a Fett hater? Anyway,
Hey, I love Jango Fett. I love Jango
It's
Fett.
just like he's not a Mandalorian, and he never will be.
All right, I don't know about never
no,
will
you
be.
can't say that. Come on,
Wait.
guys, you guys can't troll anymore. You can't troll our fans either. It's already been
Boba had more
confirmed.
respect for the Mandalorian culture than Django did, though. That to me, because Django definitely did it to be like a swindler, just to get one up on everybody. It was less about like, because it seemed like Boba definitely embraced it.
Well,
like you
yeah,
said.
absolutely.
Because I don't know
like
as
I
much
said,
about
he
the Boba
became
canon, but-
a Mandalore himself, and with the
king,
Mandalorian
right?
I
Mandalorian
think
elders
that's the
have also
problem.
Mandalorian elders have also. I mean, of course, like we're talking about Legends, which. Unfortunately, Disney has said is not canon until it
Right,
suits
exactly.
Disney. Until it's like, oh, hey, we want to make this canon because we need to fix Rise of Skywalker.
But I like the way they're doing it because they're taking stuff that fans like and they're weaving it into their stories.
Yeah, and I
you know
understand.
what
I'm just
saying?
waiting
So,
for the moment that they confirm that Boba's a Mandalorian.
I think Boba
but
Fett really needs his own Disney Plus series.
I think he needs
Because
a movie.
Well, wouldn't you want to see it long form though?
I would like to see it more
tells-
epic. Because the thing is, we already have the Mandalorian. There's no reason to have another Mandalorian since we already
True.
know Boba Fett's a
True.
Mandalorian.
But I think there's a lot of stories that we need told
Yeah.
from Boba Fett's perspective because he's been shown so little in the movies
No, I know.
that we don't have a sense of his backstory. There
But
is
see,
no
I
backstory.
He's doing
at this
nothing.
point.
I think that they can do that through the Mandalorian series, right? Like if Boba becomes not a sub character, but like kind of
The villain.
not a villain either, but a cameo character. Someone like they make some after they make. Listen, hear me out. He's giving me wincing faces, but hear me out. So if they make Boba Fett movies, okay, in the style of Logan, and supplement that and confirm that with the Mandalorian show, where he has like some storylines where they cross paths somehow, or like storylines are expanded upon from Boba's legend and legend status that ends up supporting future movies of Boba Fett.
But are you okay with just a cameo of Boba Fett?
Well,
As long as the cameo is a support system
To the movies.
To the movies.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
you could have
That's
him
what
in the
I'm saying.
Obi-Wan show too.
Yeah, you can have Boba Fett everywhere.
Yeah, he could
Okay?
be
But
like.
That's
but
too
I
much
think,
Boba
but, see,
Fett.
but I think that Boba Fett needs to be introduced with the film, and then he can be supported through all the other shows.
I want to have a Darth Maul movie
Thank you.
with the Death Watch. Wait.
Well,
No.
I think Darth Maul can blend into that Mandalorian.
Yeah, that.
I think Darth Maul can blend into the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah, that.
I think
Yeah,
Darth Maul
much
was
like Boba
supposed
Fett.
to be
Yeah.
in freaking Solo
If-
too, but that ain't
right,
happening
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah.
So-
but like Boba Fett, it's the same exact thing. Anyway, that's my favorite scene in Episode 8. It was Episode 8. Is that when they confirm that it's a creed, not a race, and then they go into like the full
Reveal.
the full flashback
Yeah.
of how he kind of survived the attack that happened.
That was an awesome scene, also.
Yeah. So
Awesome scene.
And yes, we did get, like AJ said over here, we did get confirmation that the bounty hunters that saved Mando, well, we know his name now, right?
Din Djarin?
Din Djarin.
Djarin,
Right?
excuse me.
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin, yes.
Yeah. See, you said that it
Yeah,
was
I know.
easy to remember. It's not.
It's true. But those
too much
bounty,
alliteration.
those Mandalorians that saved him had a very significant signet on their shoulders. AJ, you wanna fill our audience in on who those Mandalorians were?
Yes. So Walt actually pointed this out to me. The signet is a signet typically worn by the Vizsla clan, who would also go on to form the Death Watch.
Right, and those characters, they were fleshed out in the
Clone Wars.
They had
a
some-
little
they had
bit
a
in
little bit in
Rebels.
Rebels, right? But they're very, very important in Mandalore mythology and stuff. If anybody knows about the Vizsla clan, and this ties directly to the Darksaber, which is your favorite scene. Tare Vizsla was the first and I think only Mandalorian ever to attain Jedi Knight status. Correct?
To be a Jedi, period.
To be a Jedi, period. And his weapon was the Darksaber that we saw at the end of Chapter 8.
The The season, that's the final shot that we see
That's the final shot.
with Moff Gideon, who, again, as a Breaking Bad fan, Giancarlo Esposito is one of the most awesome actors at playing villains, like, in media today, I think. And you would, like I said, you would have to see Breaking Bad, but which you will eventually, because
Yes, I will
not
will.
pass
I
from
will.
this world
I will.
until you watch Breaking Bad.
I will.
But
I will.
that being said, like, some of the moments with him were really cool. Like, everything he said was, like, just so badass. Like, I liked the moment where he was, like, where they were trying to kind of negotiate with him in order to get away. And he was like, and they were like, what insurances do we have? And he was like, you don't have any insurances that I'm going to let you go.
Right.
It's just in my best interest right now at this moment to leave you alive. Like, he's just like, and the part where he, like, him and Mando are, like, actually fighting, and Mando's mowing everyone down with that massive blaster, the E-Web. The E-Web blaster.
The
and
repeater, the heavy repeater cannon.
Yeah.
Moff Gideon's just calmly walking through, like, all this craziness going around him. He just pulls out his blaster, shoots Mando in the back of the head. Mando tries to turn to shoot him, and he's just like, oh, I could just blow that thing up right next to you. Boom. Like, he's just so cool, calm, and collected, and that's what I've always loved about the way that he plays characters like this. It's awesome. Awesome.
Do we think he's force sensitive?
I think he is.
I don't, because
That's debatable.
because you don't have to wield a darksaber and be force sensitive.
Right, because
That's not the moment.
Pre Vizsla
Yeah, but
we're gonna-
wasn't force sensitive
Yeah.
and he used it.
I think a little bit later on we should delve into the history of the Darksaber. But just specific to this, the only reason I mention it is because I think this is something that you and I, Wolfie, were talking about. How in the world did he know? And I think Jose, we also talked about it also.
Yeah.
How did he know that Baby Yoda wasn't there? Now, there's two theories that we can put out
Right,
there.
in Chapter 7, when Rip, the client, was like, I have the baby with me now. And,
So
like, he was just
when-
like, no, you don't.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we say what Chapter 7 was about, what Chapter 8 was about, very, very quickly. Chapter 7 was them returning back to Navarro, and Grief was telling him, come back. If you give Baby Yoda to the client, all will be forgiven, right?
Right, because he was making that bargain because the client was making life really difficult for
Right.
the guild, because he brought a buttload of stormtroopers to Navarro, and just he couldn't do business anymore the way that he was able to
Right, he was
prior
stifled.
to that.
He was stifled by that presence there, right?
But, like, let's talk about one of the better moments from that episode. So that leads into, he gets the message from Grief Karva that leads him to go and seek out Cara Dune to help him out in this quest, and seek out one of our favorite characters, who, oh man, Quill.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Nick Nolte's character.
Hashtag in memoriam.
He had
He
said
has
he
spoken for the last time.
Yeah,
Yes. Hopefully
he did.
not. Hopefully not.
maybe there'll be flashbacks. Maybe they'll make a show about him. That might be interesting. But
Empire Strikes Back.
he definitely actually had probably the best, one of the best moments in Chapter 7 with him teaching IG11 when he salvaged IG11, who
Right.
previously had tried to kill the child, Baby Yoda, and
That brought up some interesting thoughts also, because
Yeah.
the thing about it is that you don't program robots, you teach robots. And I guess that's why we have robots in the Star Wars universe, droids actually, that have personalities.
Yeah.
Right? Which was a very interesting thing to drop in that show.
right. It's interesting how you have to kind of nurture them, and how your personality influences them so much, because Quill is such a helpful person, and because he's a protector of sorts, he instilled that in IG11 and gave us one of the best scenes. But after he visits Cara and Quill, they go to Navarro and they hook up with Grief Karga, who's one of my favorite characters of the whole show, because I freaking love Apollo Creed, man.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to have
Apollo
it
Creed
back
is
in the
awesome.
forefront of something.
And he has some great jokes throughout the episodes too.
He's gonna eat me.
Yeah, why don't we talk about that moment? Who wants to kind of take us a little bit further in the plot after they get back to Navarro?
Okay, so they're traveling along Navarro's landscape, and they camp out. They build a fire. It's all well and good, until we get some pitch black looking creatures that fly. Start trying to pick them off.
And what does he say before they start attacking?
It'll be okay.
Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Exactly. And literally the thing flies right by his shoulder, right?
Yeah, it nicks him.
Takes the
It takes two of those blurgs, because that's what it was really after.
And you can see Quill's like the relationship he has
Yeah.
with his
Let
steeds in that
her.
moment.
He didn't say let it go. Let her go.
Yeah, you could tell he really cared about them, so that made him even better of a character.
Yeah. And so it eventually, what we come to find out is that it didn't just go past him, it severely injured him.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to deliberate now. Oh, well, he's severely injured. What are we going to do?
Poisoned
Yeah, and poisoned at that.
by the wound. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's like, oh, just leave me. I'm going to die. You know, the whole Star Wars trope where you leave them, you survive.
Yeah, this is how it ends, and Cara Dune's like, "Don't be so dramatic."
Yeah. And then Baby Yoda starts to walk towards him. And he's like, wait, what's it going to do? Is it going to eat me?
We get
Don't
the-
let it eat me.
We get the payoff from him trying to do it in episode 2. When he tried to heal Mando.
And then Baby Yoda displays Force healing.
That reminds me, though,
That's actually pretty huge.
we have to mention that in just before that, when they're flying to Navarro and Cara and Mando
Yeah.
are having their arm wrestling match, that's a moment that's interesting too. Remember,
That
Baby
is
Yoda
true.
shows
Yeah,
off
yeah,
his
yeah.
dark side abilities. I don't know what that's supposed to like. What that's
I don't know.
supposed to
I
tell
guess
us.
hold on. I don't think it's a dark side thing. I think that's just like, he's using his innate abilities for protection, but he's still a child. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't, may not realize
Well,
what
it
he's
is
doing.
turning it on
Force
his head,
choke
though, like a
is
cannon,
more
a
of
little
a
bit.
dark side ability.
Yeah, that's not
No
something
Jedi
a
has
Jedi
ever
would
used-
use.
Yeah.
But he's not a Jedi.
Yes,
he's
I know,
just.
but
He's
here's-
just
but
here's-
not
here's
what I
He's-
think
He's
it's
not
meant.
trained.
That's
So
true,
you
that's
can't
true.
say that he's using light side or dark side
He's
at all.
just tapping from
he's
anything.
just tapping into his innate ability to protect his protector.
So here's what I think was going
Force
on
choke.
there. I think what they tried to illustrate there is that, well, he could go either way. He has potential both in this realm, the light side, which is evident from the Force healing, and we don't see much of the dark side powers, but we have the Force choking incidents. So that to me says, oh, well, here I was thinking he was all well and good, but maybe he has a little nasty side.
It's just a little bit of instinct. It's all
Yeah,
instinct. His
that
force
too,
powers,
of course.
right?
Yeah.
But that can go either way. But so moving back to where we were with the Baby Yoda healing using the Force heal, which is the only thing that I guess ties it to the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
Right, and they made it a point of putting that episode 2 days before the premiere of Rise of Skywalker, so that at least there's precedent set that we do have Force healing in this universe.
that's like a really advanced technique, though. If I'm
It
not,
is.
if I'm not mistaken.
Not if you're Kylo Ren, you just learn it as
Right.
soon as you are redeemed.
Let's not talk about that anymore. let's move on.
Kylo who?
Yes.
No, that's wrong. I like
So
Kylo.
they finally get into the town, and they go about the plan, right?
You do remember that also Greef Karga. We all thought he was
Tried
going to
to-
double cross
right.
Mando, which he was going to do, but
then
then
he
because of
Baby
Baby Yoda's healing power,
Yes.
Baby Yoda saves everything. Baby Yoda's the real hero.
Yes.
But because of Baby Yoda helping him, he decided to help Mando protect Baby Yoda,
Right.
and blast the 2 bounty hunters that are left because the other 2 died.
Did they?
Yeah, remember one got taken by the flying animals,
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
what happened to the other one?
No,
I
I
can't
thought
recall.
there was two.
Oh, no, there
was
left.
always-
There were 3.
There were 3, and
yeah.
one of them.
One of them died. Sorry.
Yeah, and the 2 was left because he shot both of them.
Yeah,
You know?
it looked like he was going to turn around and shoot Cara and Mando, and he just
Right.
blasted right past them.
So we finally get back to the town, and the plan is that they're going to kind of swindle the client into thinking that he has the Baby Yoda, but in actuality, Baby Yoda is headed back to the Razor Crest with Quill, right?
Let's not forget.
And the point is to kill the client, because they believe if they kill the client, they think he's the head man, and that the stormtroopers will then scatter, and then everything will be fine with the universe. They were wrong about that, but whatever. AJ?
Let's not forget the 2 amazing scout troopers that we meet when they come in, and who reappear again in Episode 8.
Yes, the 2 scout troopers on the speeder bikes.
Gosh.
That's pretty
Those
awesome.
guys are funny.
who are
They
the,
need
who
their
are
own
the
side
actors?
stories.
Who are the
Oh,
actors?
yeah, confirmed.
You gotta-
Jason Sudeikis
Yes.
and
Adam Pally. Mm-hmm. So
where's Adam Pally from? For those who don't know, I think everybody knows Jason Sudeikis.
Adam Pally, he's been in a couple of shows. He's not as well known
Yeah.
as the other ones. Let me pull up his IMDb page to let you guys know who exactly he is. If you see his face, you'll know exactly who this guy is.
This scene, though, it did feature my favorite comedic moment of the episode with the polite client when they were trying to swindle the client into believing that Baby Yoda was in the crib. And Grief Karga is like, oh, he's sleeping. Don't disturb him. And the client politely is like, we will be very quiet. He just wanted to confirm that Baby Yoda was there. That everything that Werner Herzog did in this show was great, and I think we're all a little sad that he died. But again, for me, to introduce Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito, it was kind of worth it.
Okay, so Adam Pally, he's best known for the Mindy Project. He was also in a couple of other shows like Dirty Grandpa, but you'll probably know him best from Iron Man 3. He is the guy, the cameraman that is very much influenced by Tony Stark. He's the guy that dresses up like Tony Stark, has the haircut like Tony Stark, and Tony gets into his van and sends a message. I can't remember what the message was, but that's that guy.
Oh, I think I remember now.
He's the the Tony Stark fan in the camera van, news van, whatever you want to call it. So that's Adam Pally, and like I said, if you see his face, you'll know exactly who he is. So anyway, they head back into town. They're in town already,
Yes,
right?
I remember.
They're already in
there and
the
stuff.
client's whatever his cantina or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Looks like a
whatever.
bar, kind of.
His lair, you know.
And then he excuses himself to take a phone call.
My favorite part.
Yeah, interesting phone call because he never got to finish
I
it.
never got to hang up.
That's where we are first introduced to Moff Gideon, and this is where I guess we're wondering whether he has force powers or not, because he's asking the client whether he has Baby Yoda, and the client says, "Yeah, he's here, he's sleeping and stuff." And he was like, "Are you sure?"
Right, and it could be the fob.
Right, it could be the fob,
Or
That would
just
be the most
intuition,
likely.
like-
Yeah.
But the fob probably is the most likely reason that he knows that Baby Yoda's not there. And then all hell breaks loose, right? Because Moff Gideon is not the type to, I guess, accept failure.
Yeah.
So he blasts the ever-living crap out of that cantina, bar, lair, whatever you want to call it.
And the best part about this scene is that when you finally get to look outside, because you're wondering, how did they aim so well? These are stormtroopers, for God's sake. Wrong, they're death troopers.
6 of them, right? There were 6 of them standing outside.
Yes.
So, Moff Gideon, he's got some weight to him, right? He's got some bodyguards with him and stuff.
And that cool TIE fighter.
Yep.
What's your opinion? Like, I mean, obviously they don't represent the Empire, but like, who are they then? Like, what's this whole platoon serving Gideon for then?
That's an interesting question. I guess that's something that's going to be answered in season 2 because we never really got a sense of why he was there and why he was after Baby Yoda.
See, this is where I think that like there is a possibility that like Moff Gideon's force sensitive because maybe he's trying to tap into like some sort of force and be like the next guy to like take over using the force and take over the Empire. Maybe he's trying to start some sort of coup, seeing a vacuum of power and stuff, which is why he has the Darksaber and he's like controlling these people. So I feel like maybe that's kind of what's going on here.
He gives me like, not exactly, but he's so much smarter, it seems, than almost all the other characters. He gives me like Grand Admiral Thrawn vibes a little bit.
True.
But with the force sensitivity. But that's what makes him such a great character. Besides, again, that he's the man, that the actor is the man. I think that that plants the seed that he may have some force sensitivity along with some other things that occur in the episode.
Yeah. So that episode ends with our heroes pinned down in that cantina, and
then finally,
finally,
we have Quill racing to take baby Yoda back to safety, being chased by the scout troopers.
let me ask you a question. And again, this
being
is
shot down.
This is one of the things, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but what's your take on the whole point that, you know, again, this is one of the things that I think drives me a little crazy about the show is that we don't get a good sense of how smart the Mandalorian is, because there are times where he's like super uber smart, and there are times he's bumbling around like an idiot. And I think this is one of these cases because he's talking to Quill on an open channel mic, because the way that the stormtroopers find them is they hear him over the mic. Where are you? You're heading back to the ship. Are you there yet? And that's what prompts them to go after the child.
Well, I said it before. I think that all of this is meant to illustrate that Mando is still learning. I really think that a lot of it is meant to illustrate that, because you even see it in his progression. He gets weapons that he's never had before, and then skipping ahead, he gets the jetpack near the end of Chapter 8, something that kind of completes, and he gets his Signet as well. That's something that kind of completes his progression to a full-blown Mandalorian warrior. He's green. He's very green.
Why do we have episodes like The Prisoner then, where he looks unstoppable in that episode?
But he was an idiot also for trusting them.
True.
He makes a lot of mistakes that are mistakes of somebody who doesn't know how to navigate this world.
I'll go with that.
Not even that,
I
but
think that's my thought on that, though.
he can be experienced in some areas and then terribly lacking in others. Like clearly his fighting ability is on par with like drop shock troopers and whatnot. He tangoed with the death troopers.
Right, but then like Cara Dune kind of one-ups him. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like
she has no armor on her face. She's just punching him in the helmet.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's Beskar. Like,
exactly.
And she doesn't even flinch. She's just pounding on him.
I mean, they come to like a standoff, pointing guns directly at each other's face. Like I don't know if like someone that can, stand against a platoon of death troopers can so easily be defeated, or at least like matched up by Cara Dune.
I think
nothing against Cara Dune, but it just doesn't make sense.
I think we'll get more insight into her in season 2, though.
Yeah,
I hope that we will.
Even then, she has more experience on him.
That's true also.
Yeah.
A lot more experience if you like go by the timelines.
Yeah.
Or at least, we don't know when he started as a bounty hunter, but it seems like she has a lot more experience because she's retired. He's just starting.
Right.
Yeah.
What it really comes down to, in my opinion, is that he doesn't have a lot of technical experience. Now, it's not so much his fighting ability that's lacking, although it could be better in some areas. I'll give him that. But it really looks like it's just his technical abilities that's lacking so far.
He's not the best tactician as yet.
And he's very trusting. He's more trusting than he should be in a lot of situations, because he trusted Grief when he shouldn't have necessarily trusted him, even though Grief ended up coming out on his side. He trusted, what the heck's his name? Freaking the kid who he hunts Ming-Na Wen's character with, who he shouldn't have trusted. He trusted the crew that ends up locking him up in Chapter 6 when they go to rescue the Twi'lek.
I think with that one he was blindsided with. He didn't know what they were after.
Yeah,
Which,
but they
again,
were
he
so
probably should've
clearly like trolling him from the moment they met him. Bill Burr and all of them. The only guy that didn't was Ran, I think his name was, the leader of that crew, the older dude with the beard.
But he was the one that set him up.
Yeah, he was the one that set him up, and he was the one he probably most should have trusted. But then, like, as soon as he met the rest of that crew, it was like, I don't know about these guys, because we know it. Watching it, we're like, these people are going to do something wrong.
I feel that the Mandalorian planned it. Most of the stuff that went on, because that last scene where he placed the bomb with
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he planned it.
Yeah, well, at that point, he knew, okay, I really can't trust anyone. If this whole operation was really to screw me over.
If he's good, he's not good at, first of all, trusting people, but then when it comes that he finally figures out what's actually going on, he can come up with plans pretty quickly.
It's really just a people factor.
All right, so to end chapter 7, we get the demise of Quill.
Off screen, which that
was
took
a
away
little
from it
disappointing.
a little bit.
I don't know if it.
No,
you know,
I don't think we needed to see that.
The reason we didn't need to see it is because when they showed them picking up Baby Yoda, there was still, even if it was only for the moment, there was still a moment of hope where you're like, well, I hope he's not dead. I hope like something happened to him, obviously, but I hope he's not dead. And then they show that he's been terminated.
Yeah,
so
that's
it kind of hits you in the heart. If you see it happening, obviously it's a gut punch, but they don't give you that hope. They gave us the hope so that the gut punch hits even harder.
Yeah,
and they linger on his lifeless body too.
I know.
I say disappointing in the fact because he was one of my favorite characters of the show. I thought he was the most Star Wars-y character there. I mean, you know,
He has spoken.
Exactly. You know, these are like Yoda level type of sayings and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Plus, losing a guy like Nick Nolte in your cast is tough.
Right.
I don't know why, but he kind of reminds me of The Witcher in a way. If he was more humble.
Who, Quill?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
I haven't seen it yet. If you start talking about it, I swear,
Yeah,
one of
let's
these
move
right in
on.
the kisser.
Let's move on.
So let's move on to chapter 8.
Yeah, let's get into chapter 8. Go ahead.
All right, so chapter 8, obviously, we continue with the cliffhanger from chapter 7. They're still trapped. They're still in trouble. But actually, we start the episode with probably the most comedic moment of the entire series.
It's a very Taika Waititi moment, right?
Yes, it was. It was awesome. And also, Jason Sudeikis is now a villain because of his abuse of Baby Yoda. But that other guy was a jerk too, because they captured Baby Yoda. They have those great conversations about how they need to deliver Baby Yoda to Moff Gideon, but they can't interrupt him because he's just killing anybody that annoys him,
Exactly.
which is hilarious. And they're
Like
just,
the first time he's like, oh, well, he just killed a whole bunch of people. And he was like, what are we doing? Can you give me an update? He just killed somebody for interrupting him. So, I mean,
Killed an
That scene was
officer.
gold. That scene was pure gold.
Taika Waititi makes everything better, I think. But that's a great little setup, a little comedic scene that leads to we finally see. Some people had speculated that IG11 killed Quill at the end of chapter 7, and I was just like, "You people are nuts."
who said that?
That was there were articles online,
Really?
like genuine articles that were like, "Oh, but this was meant to show that maybe IG11 had turned on Quill." I'm like, "What show are you watching?"
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was the direct opposite. They were building IG11 in that episode, in that chapter, for the moments that he had in chapter 8.
Yeah, which were
Why would
great.
he kill Quill? That makes no sense to me.
Starting with this one where he walks up to the 2 scout troopers and basically says, "You better give me that baby because I am nursing him," and they laugh
He's
at
a
him.
nurse droid.
He's a nurse droid. They're like, "I thought you were supposed to be an assassin." And then, they mock him and they regret it instantly because one of them gets their arm broken, the other one gets his head practically smashed in. I don't know if he killed them, but they're definitely not happy. And then
They're going on workers' comp for sure.
Yeah.
They're
They're probably the only ones that are still alive at the end of this episode
That's
of
true.
those troopers.
That's true.
But, IG11 overpowers both of them without the blaster and then just grabs Baby Yoda and he's off. And then we go into the Mandalorian theme and we see our heroes again in the same trouble that they were in the last episode. Who wants to tell us a little bit about this scene and what they liked about it?
Go for it.
Anyone?
Go for
Go for it, AJ.
Anyone?
Go for it.
Anyone?
All right, so I'm gonna jump in. They're pretty much stuck, and they're trying to figure out how the heck to get out of there. Mando has the bright idea of saying, "You know what? Let's go through the sewers because the covert is not that far away from here, and maybe we can recruit some of the Mandalorians to help us
Or at least help them
because
escape.
there's an entire army out there." And not only that, Moff Gideon busts out the E-Web heavy repeater cannon. And that's the moment where Moff Gideon introduces the fact that he knows each and every one of them.
Which was cool as heck.
And, we get the realization that Cara Dune is from Alderaan, which makes sense as to why she hates the Empire so much. we get the revelation of the Mandalorian's name, and we also get the revelation that Grief Karga is a little bit more than we thought.
He was a disgraced magistrate. Aaron Cara Dune's name was Cara Cynthia Dune from Alderaan.
And we get a little backstory on Moff Gideon also, because apparently he was so off the hook that he was convicted. Imagine that, being in the Empire and being convicted of war crimes.
Wait.
So did this happen after, or this?
I think that was the Republic.
Oh, that was the Republic? Okay.
I think
so
that was the
I was gonna say-
connotation.
that makes sense. That makes sense. So I apologize.
Either way, the Republic, I didn't think they executed people. We never saw that before, did we?
Well, but you know what? It's kind of the same thing as having the death penalty, I guess.
No, I
You
know,
what I'm
but
saying?
we've never seen that before. That's
Well, but he wasn't executed.
he wasn't.
Apparently,
And,
you know,
and I would
'cause
love to
he's-
find out what
he's
happened.
alive and
there.
well.
Wait, so he was in the Empire, and he was
Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
He's a Moff.
Yeah.
What? That's so surprising because usually, the Empire is usually the one that.
Well, no, I
plays
think
dirty.
the point is that he was convicted of the war crimes after the Empire fell. So it was
okay.
he was put on trial by
we
the
believe.
Republic or the New Republic
okay.
or whatever the heck you want to call
Yeah,
it.
it's
at
the
this
New
Because
point.
I was
Republic,
about to say, if it was the Empire convicting him of war crimes, then
Damn.
that's
you know he's
geez,
on
then you know
something
he's
else.
So-
he's off the hook.
Just on an aside, if this is the New Republic, what comes out of Rise of Skywalker? Is it the New Republic? I'm just asking the question.
That's right, because Force Awakens, they kind of blew them up.
Yeah, just asking the question. Anyway, continue.
So we have the scene of them trying to figure out how they're going to escape, and as you said, Mando finds the vent, and Cara tries to blast it open. What's up, AJ? You just want to?
Yeah, so as you get up to that point, because he hears the Moff Gideon hears the blasters go off, and he's
Yeah.
probably figuring, "Oh, so you want to escape? Well, let me lay it down." I love that part.
That part was
he
pretty
just
sick.
Yeah, he
ex-
basically said,
he
you can tell that panic is setting in, right, AJ?
Yeah, that's exactly
you
what
could
he said, right?
he just explains their situation with such a oh my god.
he just the whole monologue by
a good
Moff
villain.
Gideon was awesome.
He's a good villain.
Hey, so look, I have this E-web over here. I might use it on you. No, wait, I am going to use it on you.
And he drops a little bit of mythology as well, because not only does he say that, but he also goes and he talks to the Mandalorian and says, you should remember this because these are the exact weapons that we used in the siege of Mandalore. And he referenced a specific battle. What was it? The Night of 1,000 Tears?
Yes, I believe so.
So, there's all this world building that's going on while he's laying it down for these guys and saying, hey, basically, you guys are screwed,
And this is also, to me, we do have to mention quickly, this is also how Mando knows who he is, because he mentions that his real name, Mando's real name, Din Djarin.
Din Djarin.
It's going to take me a while to get that
I
name.
told you.
Because I've just been calling him Mando
It's,
all season.
Din Djarin.
Din
I got
Djarin
it.
or Din Djarin?
Din Djarin.
I
Well,
think it's
Din
Djarin.
Djarin.
The D is
Yeah,
the D is silent, but I
so
think it's
Din
Djarin.
Djarin.
Look
That's
it up.
how it is.
Somebody
in
look it up.
Whatever race that he's from, because we don't find out what his race is. Actually, we find
we
out
don't.
that he,
But that's the
he joins
reveal.
the creed of the Mandalorians.
Right.
But again, his real name was only in the archives on that planet that was being destroyed by the Separatists earlier when they show his origins, and the only person that could have known that, as far as he knows, was Moff Gideon, because I guess he knew that he was there and he was involved in it. There's no other way, essentially, that anybody could have known his name, because he hasn't used that name since he was a little kid. And I think he said he never spoke that name again once he became a Mandalorian.
Correct, yes.
So we have a little bit of building the backstory there. And then we have a great scene again with IG11 as he comes charging back into town.
Yes.
That's actually one of my favorite moments when Baby Yoda is loving it. He's like laughing and enjoying the ride, which is
I know,
awesome.
this is so awesome because it shows that he's still a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
He
a
doesn't
lot-
know exactly what's going
There's a
on.
lot of good baby baby Yoda moments in this episode. So that was one of them.
But IG11 protecting Baby Yoda, and then Baby Yoda is like mounted, like kind of on his chest when he rides in on the speeder, and then he spins around so that Baby Yoda is behind him and does what he did in the first episode. He's just blasting in random directions with those two blasters. That's a really cool moment. And he basically is kind of coming to their rescue, but Moff Gideon is starting to lose some patience at this point, and he brings in the trooper that you mentioned.
The shock trooper.
Oh,
Well, that's after he blows Mando to bits, right?
Yeah.
So Mando's critically injured, and they retreat back to not the same place.
No, it's the
But,
same place.
is
I
it
think.
the
No,
same
no, it's the
place?
same
They
place,
go
yeah.
through the
Oh yeah,
sewers
that's
again.
true.
Yeah.
So they go back to the same place, but
Yes.
now they're a little worse for wear because Mando is critically injured.
Right. That's the moment that I kind of got the sense that either Moff Gideon is just such a cold, calculating warrior and always has been, which can definitely be the case, or like there was a little like maybe force help there that was like allowing him to get that much of an upper hand on Mando, who to this point was at least hanging with every bad guy that he was fighting for the most part.
I think it was no. I think that was just like Mando's is basically fighting off an army, and then when he goes off against Gideon used his wise, I guess, experience to
His
not go
wits.
one-on-one with Mando. Instead, he sees that he can blow up a canister. That not only, I don't think that he necessarily intended to hurt Mandalorian as much as create an explosion of an distraction to not get killed by the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was more of that. Like, well, he's about to shoot me. Let me blow this thing up as cover for myself. And it happened to hurt Mandalorian.
It was
as
Kara
well.
that pulled him back into the building,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But as far as the explosion goes,
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
right.
Like, I don't think that was like something too special. I think that was more like, I got to cover my tracks, and it happened.
Well, you tell us about it because you were thinking in a similar way as I was when Mando was like basically giving his death speech.
Yeah, he was giving his death speech, which was it was really. It was awesome because of the way that it was delivered, and he, sometimes when we have scenes like this, like where like I'm not gonna make it, when they get told yes you are, you're coming with me, they just pick him up and go. But he repeated, I'm not gonna make it as much, and they kept trying to like convince him that you are gonna make it, you're gonna do this, you're gonna take care of Baby Yoda. He's like, no, take him and protect him. You have to go, and then they finally go and leave him. Because he wanted to die a warrior's death.
And Kara noticed the blood on his coming.
Yeah,
from his
Kara
head.
noticed the blood behind the helmet, and she says, I need to take this off. And he's like, no. Because, again, he wants to die a warrior's death. He wants to
Which is so
die
awesome.
protecting their escape and stuff. IG11 comes through. Cara Dune takes away Baby Yoda, and they go off to, like, try to escape. IG11 stays back to help him, and he tells him, I need to remove the helmet to help you. And Mando goes like, you move it and you die.
Mm-hmm. Pulls out
Pointing a
his
gun at
blaster.
IG. As like, I've never... Actually, no. First he says, I've never shown my face to a living being. It's part of my creed.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way. And then IG11 goes like, I'm not living. And then he pulls off the helmet. And you see like a very kind of desperate looking Mando, like he realized this is the end, but he's not happy about it. He's sad. Like I think I even see maybe a little teary eyed and whatnot.
Yeah.
But IG11 sprays him with like some OP spray can that all of a sudden
Spectre.
Spectre, yeah.
He said it's
It's the thing that healed Luke Skywalker after
The Empire Strikes
Strikes Back.
Right, but we're talking about, he says like your CPU is damaged, meaning your brain, which is why he has like diminished motor function skills, right? He sprays it on him, and all of a sudden like his brain is kind of getting back to normal, which
It's
is
like a
kind of
video
cool. It's pretty OP, you know what I mean? Like,
Back
it's
to man.
one thing to like, fix like your muscles and stuff like that. It's a whole nother thing to repair
Your
your
brain.
brain.
Yeah.
Like, maybe chunks of your brain are missing, but let's bring that all back.
Although maybe we'll see something related to that in season 2. Maybe he'll still have lasting effects from that.
No, I don't think so, because IG11 helps him up and he carries him basically through the tunnel to regroup with everyone. and you hear him say like, "Wait a minute, I can stand, I can walk." And
Yeah,
then
I'm fine.
IG11 goes like, "Oh, the back dub must be it's taking effect, it's working." And then all of a sudden he's back to 100% normal Mandalorian. So, and that kind of leads
It's a sensu bean.
I felt
it's
that
like the sensu bean.
it literally is, but I felt that was kind of rushed so that they can get to like more stuff. But
It was definitely a mechanic that was used to bring him back to life. Like it's almost like a little bit of a retcon that he got exploded.
Let me
So-
ask you a question, because I find it interesting the choice that they made in terms of that scene, because if we go back, the shock trooper uses fire and they're about to get basically barbecued, right? And Baby Yoda holds back the fire
Yeah.
and actually pushes it back to the shock trooper
Right,
and
right.
incinerates him. And that's when he falls because of exhaustion. He's overexerted himself. So now you can't use Baby Yoda to heal the Mando,
Right.
Which is something that they did that
I
purposefully.
thought, yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. I
Yeah, of
thought that
course.
they were like, because obviously, it would have been Yoda to heal him, if anything, but they had to kind of do that to give us the dramatic feel of like, hey man, like he's actually gonna die
That's why
because
they-
Yoda's not around right now. He's out of commission.
There you go.
That's why
You
they
know,
give
so-
him like that limitation.
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of.
yeah,
He can only
yeah.
do one really powerful
Yeah,
force
exactly.
thing, and then
Mhm.
he's
Cool.
just like, I'm wiped out.
Yeah, Baby Yoda, all he wants to do is ride on a speeder all day. He doesn't want to use the
Yeah.
Force, but when he has to, he needs a baby nap right away.
He's like a Deus Ex Machina, but he's a well-used one.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, he comes in the last moment in certain
Right,
scenes,
right,
but they
right.
do it for the right reasons, which is nice.
And so the group is making their way to the covert, and they find the armorer, which is one of the best scenes. If it wasn't for the scene where they, canonize the fact that like Mandalorian is a creed, not a race. Don't grunt.
It's a culture.
This would be my favorite scene out of the entire show.
Cara knew it, right? She was the one who said that it was a culture.
She knew it, yeah. She
she
knows
did.
it. Yeah, she's the one that said, like, it's not a race. And then he responds, it's a creed. And boom, flashback. So cool.
Which makes her
Anyway,
more interesting.
Yeah, it does, actually, because she does have, like, a lot of knowledge of, like, species and stuff. She's very well-traveled.
and then not to mention, basically most of the Mandalorians are dead.
Oh yeah, because first they find a
Right.
pile
Well,
of
we don't know that.
armor.
We don't know that. She said,
Well, some of
like,
them.
he asked, like, hey, did any make it
Yeah.
out? And she says, I would hope so. So they
But some
leave it
of
open. We don't know how many did. If they, maybe only the heavy
Heavy infantry.
the heavy
survived.
infantry survived.
Paz Vizsla.
Yes.
So anyway, we have the scene with the armor, which is AJ's favorite scene. I think everybody else's probably one of their absolute favorite
I
scenes,
agree.
where she goes into more Mandalorian lore. The Mandalorian explains or introduces her to Baby Yoda, explains that this is the reason why he was able to he defeated the Mudhorn. But explained that this is why it wasn't an honorable killing, because it was done by, I guess, an enemy, at least what they think is an enemy. And she explains that, like, she knows these sorcerers. She's heard of these stories before.
Knights of the Old Republic,
The Knights of
bros.
the Old Republic, right? They use the Jedi Force powers and everything. And she explains to him that now he's Baby Yoda's a foundling, not an enemy. And because he's a foundling, and in Mando's caretaking, he has basically not necessarily a choice, but because of the creed, which she explains, because of the creed, once he has a foundling, he either has to train it, raise it and train it, or return it to its race. But since he's too weak to be trained, he needs to return it to his planet, his race, or his family, or whatever. And I think this it sets up like where season 2 is going to be going.
Road trip.
For what he's doing. But it's awesome because she's like, this is the way. Everything is like, this is the way. This is our creed.
That's such a great line, man.
It's like for
Oh my
everything.
gosh.
It's basically their version of I have spoken. Because he's like, wait, you want me to train this thing? It's like,
This is the
no.
way.
You have to bring it to his family. This is the way. Part of our creed. And I'm like, dude, like that's awesome. I'm gonna
It
start
was
using
really
it when
awesome.
I teach. And so they go on his way. They go on their way after he restocks on some ammunition. I don't want to say all ammunition.
I guess the jetpack. What is it
He
called?
get-
The
oh,
Phoenix
yeah, that's right.
Rising?
The Rising Phoenix.
Rising
The
Phoenix.
Rising Phoenix.
The Rising Phoenix, which is a very crucial scene because it denotes why he truly is still kind of green. Because she says, she asks him, "Have you been trained in the Rising Phoenix?" We don't know what this is yet because they don't have it on screen. And he goes like, "When I was a child, yes." And then she goes like, "Then here you go. You will drill with it. You cannot use it. It will not lift for you if."
So you don't
it will
learn how
not.
to
It
talk
will
to
not.
it or
It will
something
not
like that?
speak to you until you are ready.
Yeah.
You know.
And it calls back to earlier in episode 3 where he's like, I gotta get me
Yeah,
one
I
of
gotta get
those.
me one of those. But it's like almost like graduation for him. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like he's got his like black belt. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he's got his jetpack. He's got his Signet. He's
Yes,
ready to
that's
go.
right. And then like right at the end, he gets his signet finally, which is the Mythosaur, and she states, "You are now a clan of 2." So does Baby Yoda get that signet too? Technically, if he's part of the clan,
I'm actually waiting for Baby Yoda to get some Beskar. You know what I'm saying?
I could totally see him get like a Beskar robe or
Oh
something
my
like that. You know
gosh,
what I
that
mean?
would be ridiculous. You know what I'm
So
saying?
cool. A
could he get
Beskar
any more
onesie.
adorable?
A Beskar onesie. So anyway, he has the ammunition. He has the Rising Phoenix. They go on their way. He asks the armor to, please come through, come with us. And she's like, "No, this is my place."
She has to salvage what's left.
She has to
Yeah.
salvage what. That's her creed. That's her creed is she has to salvage whatever armor is left, and protect the armory, I guess. And we get
get
the
a
cool scene.
Awesome scene.
Yeah, who wants to describe the scene?
Anybody?
You do, because it was your favorite
Anybody?
scene.
Okay.
What happens? What does the armorer do when them stormtroopers show up?
So,
So
first of
cool.
all, like she's just sitting down, and then it's all of a sudden from both sides they just come storming in from the sides.
Who's they?
The stormtroopers? Yeah, and they're like all around. They're surrounding her, right? One of them hits her on the head and is like,
Just puts
Hey, Mando.
the blaster,
The
to
blaster
her head.
to his her
yeah.
head.
And then he says like something like,
Hey, Mando.
"Hey, Mando," and then all of a sudden she's just sitting there, and then out of nowhere she gets up and whacks him, literally, where I think it was in the
with
face.
the tools.
Yeah, in the
With
face.
tools.
And then she just completely destroys them. Like one of them, she throws
It was
into the.
vicious.
She
It
throws, yeah,
Oh, into the furnace. Yeah.
into the furnace. One of
Yeah,
them,
I forgot about that. Oh man.
That was the Wilhelm scream, wasn't it?
yeah.
Was it?
I don't remember.
No,
No,
Probably.
I
go
don't
back
think
and check.
so.
Either way, it was still cool.
And then she uses her hammer and just like literally whacks him across the face, and then his mask just comes off.
Yeah, it just
It
explodes.
breaks.
We've
And
never
then-
even seen that from stormtroopers, right?
Nope.
No. And
The
then
only, the only
We've seen a
time
lot
we
of
get
firsts
close,
in this show.
the only time we get close to that is in Rogue One with IP Man.
IP Man.
It Man.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Donnie
Or
you're
Ip
talking
Man.
about Donnie Yen?
Yeah,
IP
Donnie
Man.
Yen's character.
His name. What is his name again? In
Continue. I shall look it up.
yeah.
Continue. Tell us more.
Okay, then there's another one where she holds the blaster with like two hammers and
With the force.
starts pulling it, and it starts pointing. The person starts shooting with it, and she just makes it so that it points directly to another stormtrooper. And then there's one where she like takes one of them down, and then just starts
Just smashes the head.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's,
And then all you hear is like crunches and like pieces of stormtrooper armor just flying up, and I'm like, jeez.
yeah.
Root and Way.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Chirrut.
The other guy is Baze, his friend.
But so we have that fantastic scene of the
And
armor,
then we
and
go
then she
into
just
our
kind of like
ending.
sits down and gets back to work.
Yeah, I know. It's why she's still like, all the Mandalorians are either gone or dead, but she's still around. We just got proof why she's still around.
She's majorly.
I wonder if
badass.
she's probably like force sensitive. Like, how does she know that they're coming and that she's ready for them? So sick.
She usually, she was kind of like almost meditating before
Yeah,
they showed up.
exactly. Well, she is like as the armor. She's basically their priestess.
Yeah, I was thinking
So,
the same
yeah,
thing from
yeah.
like the very beginning, which makes her all the more cooler. She's like
I
a
know.
warrior priestess.
Yeah.
which is super badass.
So now we get to, towards the end where we have we basically come to a river of lava.
The river Styx.
Okay, They have
Well,
a
the river
of
of
lava.
Phlegathon.
Whatever
There's an
it's
actual
called,
fire river.
whatever it's called, it's a river of lava that happens to have a boat that doesn't seem to like melt.
Hey,
I wonder if the boat's made out
you
of
went
Beskar.
you went to the mythology, so I just
No, that was awesome.
And this cool R2 unit comes to life, literally with arms and legs,
the
which is
most
dope.
jarring thing on earth.
It's freaking awesome. You know, it's still just a
Kind
regular
of
R.
creepy a little bit.
It
I
was
know, it
creepy.
really
I wasn't
scared
sure if
me,
it's gonna
bro.
like start attacking them or whatever.
Yeah, it was
But
really weird.
he's just a ferryman, you know what I mean? Ferrying them across the lava and all that. When
buried in junk, and then all of a sudden he rises up.
Yeah, like caked in like
when Din or Mando rather, he you know, using that awesome helmet, sees that there's a platoon of stormtroopers waiting at the end, and they can't stop themselves from going on the river, and we get like this super cool scene with IG11 and Mando and whatnot, and you know, it's kind of like an emotional and heartbreaking scene with a callback to a lot of our childhoods with Judgment Day 2, with Judgment Day, T2 Judgment Day.
Yeah.
You know, you have IG11, you know, do the self-sacrifice where he goes, you know, I need to go and self-destruct. You must promise me that you will take care of the child.
Yeah, so he can
And
take care
yeah,
of his second
exactly,
directive.
Exactly.
So cool.
His primary directive is now to take care of Baby Yoda. His secondary directive is to self-detonate because he cannot be captured alive, which is something that was planted in the first episode, which is awesome, right? Like a little breadcrumb. Mando, this is where I feel like, you know, the Ugnaught spirit, where Quill's spirit is in IG11's, Mando doesn't want to see IG11 die, not just because he's protected Yoda and all that, but also because I think he sees Quill in IG11. He doesn't want to see him die because of that.
100%.
You know? And so, but IG11, knowing that there is no scenario based on his calculations where IG11 survives and the baby survives, he tells Mando, you must promise me that Baby Yoda will be taken care of, will be looked after in your care, so that he can default to his second thing. So it's like Mando has to sentence him to death.
Can I just make one point for those who have seen this
No,
movie?
I mean, carry on
This is
with
totally.
the rest.
I don't want to get too far afield on this one, but like for me, a couple of times, maybe it's because I saw this movie again recently, but
Yeah.
I got so many like the professional vibes from like certain parts
God,
when they're pinned down. When basically when he's having the conversation
Yes.
with IG11, it's like at the end when Natalie Portman is telling Jean Reno's character, or when Jean Reno is like,
Yes.
you know, telling her, "Go, I'll come back for you, or I'll find you." I kind of got vibes of that movie.
Yeah,
from
man,
these
it's-
scenes.
I
it's-
saw
you
that
know, it's like
recently
what-
too.
It's such a good movie.
You know, it's when like, you know that you're going off to like certain death and you can't do anything about it, you just gotta accept it. That's kind of what it is. And so he, you know, Mando accepts the responsibility of taking care of Baby Yoda away from IG11, allowing him to self-detonate. And he steps into the lava, and we get this like awesome shot of him like walking through lava, slowly disintegrating in the lava. So much just like the Terminator does after saying goodbye to John Connor, telling him that I must go. And actually, before we get there, there was an awesome scene where IG11 tells Mando that like, you're sad, and Mando goes like, no, I'm not. And I think Eli actually,
head's
that's
down.
what he wants to talk about here. He's like giving me a look. Eli, go ahead. Are you sad? Are you sad because of the scene?
Huh?
Are you sad because of the scene? Did it make you cry?
No. But it did sucker punch me literally in the chest. Eek.
Yeah,
And
that
man-
sucked because, yeah.
The thing that makes it even worse is that he hates droids with a passion.
Yes, right. And actually we know why, because his childhood memory is seeing the droids kill all his people.
Yep.
Right? So aside from the fact that Mandalorians in general hate droids, he has a personal vendetta against them. But he's sad to see IG11 go, and IG goes, you know, he says, you're sad. And Mandalorian says, no, I'm not. And IG11 says, I'm a nurse droid.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
I'm a nurse droid. I can tell based on your voice.
Yeah. And like he puts his head down.
Puts
too,
his head
for
down, and it's
anybody
like,
who
and
isn't picking up on
the
it.
last thing that IG11 does before he actually does step into lava is that he slowly caresses the ear of Baby Yoda, which shows me that IG11 isn't just a robot.
Yeah, he really is like almost like Quill's soul, like
Yes,
inhabited this
exactly,
thing.
which is why it
Which is what
kills
makes
me.
Mando even more sad.
It kills
Yeah,
me
it's
that
that
they
connection.
took away Quill and IG11. It absolutely destroys me that they did that.
It was really hard. We had a conversation about it earlier, and you're right. They maybe could have saved one of them and maybe saved their sacrifice for the second season. But I think the gut punch was still really effective.
My thing is that they could have saved, like, kill Quill off now, because that was a big enough gut punch as it is.
It was huge.
It's so huge, and then have Quill live through IG11, and then maybe kill him off in the second season. But damn, both of them,
Yeah, I know.
like, I just don't see personally how they're going to create another character that's gonna do better than IG11 and Quill.
I have
I think
faith
they
that-
will.
that
I have
they
faith
will.
that they can. I just
know.
think those shoes are really big to fill,
I
and
think,
I don't
well-
think that they'll be able to, like, surpass it.
Let me ask you this question to kind of like address that. Is there a character this season that you actively disliked?
That I actively disliked. Well,
Or were
I
just
wasn't. I
lukewarm
wasn't.
about?
I'm lukewarm about Cara Dune. That's mainly
Mm-hmm.
because of, and I hate to say this because I am very proud of Gina Carano's acting career and the strides that she's made and stuff like that.
From Deadpool
But
2
she's-
on, or Deadpool on.
Yeah, but like just in general, like I mean, I've seen like her earliest work, and I know that she was like pretty much on the verge of quitting acting altogether until she got this role. So I'm very proud that
wow.
she's gotten this far, you know, and where she is, and you know, this last episode really did kind of reinstill a little bit more faith in her as this character. But I'm only lukewarm over her because she's just the weakest of the bunch, but not weak by any means necessarily. It's just the weakest compared to everyone else, because I think Werner Herzog played amazing. I think Nick Nolte's performance was amazing. IG11, whoever the actor was, I don't even know who it is, but he was amazing.
Taika Waititi.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Flip
Like they
side
were
note.
just
How many? I mean, look at how many amazing characters they created this season. I
right.
think-
That's
I have
my
faith
thing.
like
So
Walt. I think
that's
they'll
my
find
thing.
a way.
Like I have faith, but it's one of those things where like you've pretty much done one of the rarest things, which is to create amazing characters all in one season. The very first season, create these do amazing character development, and then you kill them off. What if you don't do it as good? You know, when like you know, it's like
I
you
think they'll
created
be
this
fine.
gold mine. Like let's keep mining this gold mine a little bit. You know.
I'll make one last argument, and then we can move forward.
Yeah,
with
let's
the
move
rest
on
of
to
it.
the end.
I'll make one
We're
last
pretty much
argument
at the end.
for my confidence in this. I haven't even seen a lot of Dave Filoni's work, but I know the characters he's created.
Right.
That's why I have even more faith that they'll bring some more great characters to the
Yeah.
table. Maybe not even. Well, yeah, maybe better ones, but like they really set a high standard. I will.
Yeah,
give
I
you
mean,
that.
yeah. It's just I just like you're not gonna be able to bring Nick Nolte back
Right.
as an actor. You know, like even playing like you know, it's fine to kill Cole off, but like I wanted to see more Nick Nolte. I want to see and
A
hear
different
more.
character.
Maybe Quill has
I
a
don't-
twin
that's
brother
not-
somewhere.
No, I don't know if that's
Don't do that. No.
And listen,
No.
I wanted to, just touch on one of your comments before about Gina Carano.
Mm-hmm.
She was very public in saying that she was about to quit acting.
Yeah, she was public.
And-
Yeah, she
and
was
you know
public
what?
about it. She wasn't. She
I have to say that I'm like you on that level where I like how she's grown as an actress
Yeah.
because remember I think her first acting credit was Haywire.
well, Haywire was her first starring credit.
Right, but she was voiced over.
Yeah, she
in
was
that,
voiced over,
and
which was very jarring. When
yes,
I
it
saw
was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like I said, to see her come from there to where she is now, I'm just super proud of her
Yeah,
because I
leaps
think
and
that's
bounds.
great. You know what I'm saying? And she's showing off some of her acting ability.
And-
it's still not there yet, but you see her progressing as
And
an
you know
actress.
what? I want to kind of retcon myself. I'm in a retconning mood because of the Rise of Skywalker, and I want to say that like I'm no longer lukewarm about her character at all because you know, even though like there may have been stronger performances by everyone else, I do believe that like she did her part. She played her role well. I can't see anyone else as Cara Dune, you know, which is usually my benchmark for, you know, a character. Is like, well, if I feel like someone else could have played him better, then I would have preferred that, right? Like I can't see that anymore. And being surrounded by this cast and the people that she's in, I think she's in great hands to like further develop as an actress.
She hangs with them.
She does
with
hang.
them.
She hangs,
She's-
and that's
she's
that's
talented.
important. So
Agreed.
super awesome.
All right,
by
let's
her.
finish off
So-
this thing here. So
I don't even want it to end. It was so
So,
good.
so Jose, why don't you carry us through the very ending then? After IG11 meets the stormtroopers and then says his directive, which is I cannot be captured, I must self-destruct, and then boom, goes the droid.
the thermal detonator in his chest goes off.
Yep.
And
Finally.
everybody thinks, oh, we're okay now. All the stormtroopers have been blown to bits. But no, Moff Gideon is not. He ain't having it. He is not having it. He comes through on that awesome TIE fighter, which you kind of knew he was coming. He wasn't in that group. You knew he had to come through, and he's blasting at them, and they're running out of hope. I think Grief Karga they're shooting their blasters at him. Kara comments like, "Our blasters are useless against his ship." And Grief Karga says, "I'm out of ideas." Mando goes, "I'm not." And we get to see the payoff of the Rising Phoenix. Mando pulls off. He rises up into the sky in the jetpack. And it was really cool that whole shot I thought was awesome because you see him go right over the TIE fighter as it flies past. And then he uses his grappling hook to attach to the TIE fighter. Which probably would have ripped his arm off. But whatever. I don't care. Still awesome how he kind of like rides along with it.
I hate that was a scene from the trailer. You know, I wish I hadn't seen the trailer because
I forgot it.
Yeah, that was a scene in the
I'm
trailer.
glad I did.
You know, the trailer they show Moff Gideon, and they show the Mandalorian on top outside. So, you know, whatever.
That whole scene is awesome. You kind of see an awesome like struggle as you see Moff Gideon realizing that Mando is on his ship. You see him trying to like do all these crazy maneuvers to knock Mando off.
He was still kind of calm at that point, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
was
was calm,
never
yeah.
he was never frustrated until he realized what Mando was trying to do and had done.
Yeah.
He tries to put that first detonator on the TIE fighter. That flies off. He loses it and explodes back in the distance. But then he's able to attach the second one to the wing of the TIE
He
fighter.
attaches two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
he
second
attaches
and the
two.
third.
You're right.
The
The second and the third, right to the weakness between the body of the TIE fighter and the wing, and that's the first time you see Moff Gideon like, oh crap.
Yeah.
He sees, and that's like another like little thing added to Star Wars lore. Apparently, there's sensors on the TIE fighter that detect explosives and danger, which is cool. I have no problem with it. But like it gave us that great reaction from Moff Gideon. And this is kind of, I'm going to let you guys kind of take us a little further in because this is where you guys did have a little issue with the episode. So maybe, Walt, do you want to tell us, like...
It's a very minor thing.
Yeah.
We don't need to like super go into it
Right.
or whatnot.
It
but
just, for me, and I think Wolfie, you agree also. It was kind of jarring how he crashes the TIE fighter.
Yeah, after it blows off the wing, right?
Right. The wing blows off and he loses control, and we see the TIE fighter go. What was it? Like over a dune or something like that.
yeah, something like that, and
We
it
don't see
crashes.
it.
Yeah, it
no
flies over Grief and
No
explosion,
Cara. They
explosion.
watch
just a
it,
crash.
you know,
And
crash.
then it's very abrupt because there's no denouement. You know what I'm saying? There's no it just goes from, hey, he's crashed. What do we do next?
We won!
Yeah, they literally.
But not
The
just what are we doing
Mando-
next. It's like basically what are we doing next season.
Right, exactly, because Mando lands
Yeah, kind of.
awkwardly,
Yeah.
right? And then they go straight into Grief Karga saying, oh, well, you know, we've wiped the villainy and scum off this planet.
We're back to bounty hunting ways. This
Yeah,
planet's
you
a
know,
great place. Why don't you
Guild
just stay?
is back and you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
it just felt jarring to me. You know
I
what
feel
I'm saying?
that that would be something that Grief Cargo would say.
Yeah.
I
true.
felt that was good
That
for
is
his
true.
character.
Kind of an
we're
optimist.
back in
Yeah,
business.
he's ever the optimist, you know. He stays in character, so that is true. But it was just a little weird that it was so abrupt the way they did
Yeah.
it. You know?
The pace was
my issue with it is that it's not realistic for you to have just finished, literally just 1 second earlier, landed from blowing up a TIE fighter, not completely blowing it up, but like just, forcing it to crash, and looking at that explosion just as you're landing, and then walking over is like, hey, so what are we gonna do now for the rest of our lives?
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
didn't even think much of it until you guys brought it up, and I realized when I was watching the episode, I was like, I thought immediately when that TIE fighter crashed, I was like, he ain't dead. Moff Gideon ain't dead. If we can think of it and we can be like, let's go check if this guy is freaking dead, then yeah, you're right. Like, it does take a little bit away from the episode.
Yeah, because I mean, look, we're talking about a bunch of scavengers. All three of them are scavengers, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, if you blow up like even just a basic TIE fighter, you're gonna go try to scavenge and see what you can get, what bounty you can get.
And not only that,
like just from that standpoint.
Not only that, I think Cara Dune has enough experience as a shock trooper.
Yeah.
Where, she's been through the wars and stuff like that.
Right.
That she would have been like, you know what, let's just go double check to make sure.
You know what? Now that you bring that up, even more so because she has a personal vendetta against them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So why wouldn't? And so does Mando.
Sure.
Why wouldn't you go double check that he's gone? Do the double tap. Have you not seen Zombieland? Double tap.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
well, she did say it. She said it once, I believe. But
No.
So
She said about the
this-
stormtroopers, not about Moff
Oh.
Gideon.
yeah.
We're talking about.
Maybe I'll stay here for a
specifically
little
going-
bit.
Yeah.
So
So Grief Karga is going to stay on Navarro, and so is Cara Dune. Cara Dune is going to be.
his enforcer,
His
basically, she
enfor-
just
yeah.
got a job.
Yep. And
The guild is back.
Guild is back, baby.
There's no more stormtroopers, even though it hasn't been confirmed by any of them, and that scene.
Right.
Except
They
the
just
gas.
they just assume.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that-
definitely assume.
Well, like I said,
At least the ones that they saw maybe were
Yeah.
taken care of, but they don't know like who else was on the planet.
And Cara did say that she was going to stay just in case there's some more stormtroopers.
Yeah.
to
Right.
be. So
More to that point, I'm pretty sure in one of Grief Karga's earlier transmissions that he said they occupied the planet,
Yeah.
not just a little rinky-dink city in Navarro, the planet.
Yeah, but then he also says that the planet is back to normal. So like, he didn't just say the city of Navarro. He said the planet has been rid of villainy and scum.
who's going to argue with Carl Weathers at this point?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But anyway, so we have basically like they set up in one scene. They set up basically the next season and what the plot lines are going to be about, what everyone's doing, and but we also get one more person's plot line for next season a little bit. He absolutely survives, and we've already spoken about this a little bit. We get the unveiling of the Darksaber.
Jawas, the Jawas are trying to take stuff off as they're wont to do. They're trying to scavenge all the junk that's left over. And Eli, why don't you tell us about the scene a little bit?
right?
The one that you predicted.
Yeah, the one that you predicted.
The one that I predicted, right? Before we go into this, I just want to say 1 minute before the actual thing happened, I was looking directly at the doorway and I said, he's going to come out with the Darksaber or
He
with
did.
the lightsaber.
He
You
did.
should play the lottery today.
Then, yeah,
Not a bad
I
idea.
should. And then out of nowhere, I just see, right? What happens is the Jawas are around, they're scavenging. You see the cut, the cut coming through, like it points out, and it's completely melting it, and it starts creating a square or an oval or whatever that is, a square, and he pushes out, and then he just gets on top of the TIE fighter,
Looking at the sky.
looking at the sky with a lightsaber, or should I say a dark saber, because it's completely black, and he has one knee bent, and he's just looking at the sky
he's
with
just
smoke in
wielding
the
it.
background.
And that's pretty much where the show ends.
So
So good.
I think we need to talk a little bit about the Darksaber real quick, just for the people that don't know what the Darksaber is. AJ, do you wanna head this topic out?
Okay, so from what I remember from Clone Wars, there was the one Mandalorian Jedi. What was his name again?
Tare Vizsla.
Tare Vizsla. He was cool, but then once, But then once he passes away, I guess, the Jedi gain hold of the Darksaber and keep it with them.
Correct.
But not before, I guess, how many ever decades later, Pre Vizsla goes and steals it from them with a little bit of aiding and I don't know about it. Okay, I was about to mess up there, but basically he was helped by Darth Maul in some sense because he was in the background scheming for control of Mandalore. They eventually take over Mandalore with their scheming and their plotting. But then Darth Maul goes, hey, so that's a pretty nice lightsaber you got there. It's pretty much the symbol of your leadership. I want it. And he's like, well, no, you can't have my leadership. You have to fight me for it in the traditional Mandalorian way. And Darth Maul...
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
And Darth Maul, well, practically wearing a troll face at this point, says, sure, why not? And he kills him, just straight up. You can't fight Darth Maul. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
He gains control of...
Continue. Go ahead. Continue, please. Don't get at me, bro. Boba fought Darth Vader twice. Continue.
And never beat him.
Didn't die either.
If you survive against Darth Vader, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's
you
a
have to
victory
give
right
him
there.
that.
All right, fair
Surviving
enough.
Darth Vader.
Fair enough.
Continue.
So, Darth Maul is holding on to this saber for a little while, up until he gets confronted by Darth Sidious himself, who basically shuts down his whole operation.
Which the operation is?
Take over Mandalore and establish his own criminal underground empire.
So he's got the Death Watch under his wing, and he creates the Shadow Collective, right?
Yes.
Which is referenced in Solo.
Yes, because he would eventually establish the Crimson Dawn.
That would have been dope if we had Solo 2, but
I
no.
Not gonna happen.
Yes. After Darth Maul gets captured, you technically don't have... Wait, no. I'm sorry. I retract that. We see the Darksaber again in Star Wars Rebels.
Well, it falls at some point to the Night Sisters of Dathomir. But then you're right. At some point, Sabine Wren from Rebels picks up the Darksaber, takes it back from Maul.
I thought... Oh, wait, yeah, that's right, because she goes to his lair.
Correct.
Oh, so maybe it never left his possession in that case, then.
No, he had it. Sabine took it. She actually was trained in using it by Kanan Jarrus. And in the only instance where we have the transfer of the Darksaber without combat, she gives it to Bo-Katan, who uses it to unite Mandalore.
And that is the last instance we get of the Darksaber that we know of.
Right.
Up until this lovely little snippet at the end of the episode.
That's definitely what I was talking about, though, where the sequel trilogy answered questions that nobody asked. This is a question that, like, conceivably somebody was like, what the heck happened to the Darksaber?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the
That's a
Darksaber-
cool question.
The Darksaber is a symbol of power within the Mandalorian culture. Usually, whoever wields the Darksaber is in a position of power in Mandalore itself.
Which
You
makes
know
you
what I'm
wonder
saying?
why Moff Gideon has it.
Well,
did he just take it from somebody? Is
well,
there
I mean,
some...
I think at this point there is no Mandalorian society right now. They're all in hiding, right?
Why
So
did he want
think-
it? You know, that's what I'm thinking. Why did he want it?
Well, the
how
great
did he
thing-
get it, and why did he want it? Did he just happen upon it? Like, there's so many
Well, you
questions
know,
for
it's
season
interesting.
Well,
Hold on.
we don't even have to wait till season 2 to get it because remember, Clone Wars is returning in, what is it, February or March of next year. They've already said that they're going to be,
Tie-in.
well, not even tying in, but they're going to be focusing on the siege of Mandalore, which is something that we've heard of, especially in this
Right,
episode,
yeah,
but
this
not
episode, yeah.
seen. And the great thing about it is that, again, this is a Filoni product.
Yeah.
He's got a great way of tying things in from different shows. We may even get a chance to see Moff Gideon in Clone Wars.
Right.
And we may get the answers how he got the Darksaber. I'm kind of thinking that he got it through the siege.
No.
Well, we don't know.
But
We don't know
we
yet.
don't know at this point. I'm just speculating.
Well,
you know?
but here's the thing about that, though. If that was the case, then how did because remember, what's his name? Pre Vizsla had to get it from the Jedi, and that was during the Clone Wars. So, and then by the end of not by the end of Clone Wars, but further down the timeline, Darth Maul has it. Boom, there. Siege of Mandalore is going to happen somewhat after this, but before Rebels. So how would that fit into the timeline
wouldn't
exactly?
know. I don't think it's before Rebels because remember, in Rebels we see the Mandalorian society.
Right.
Yes, but
That's when
I'm talking in terms of the Darksaber.
But what I'm saying is that's the point where she gives the thing to Bo-Katan. Remember, Rebels happens before A New Hope.
Yes.
Guys,
We are talking about
trust in
times
Filoni, guys.
into-
Trust in
Clone Wars
Filoni.
happens before Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, that's true.
Boom.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure this out somehow.
I think we got our topic for the next episode. It's gonna be Star Wars.
Yeah,
lore.
this is a whole other topic actually that we
yeah.
can discuss. I just want to say one more thing that's slightly off topic. I want to see when Feige does some Star Wars stuff. What if him and Filoni come together? Because they're so good at continuity.
That would be glorious.
Some people are worried about Feige. I'm not at all.
I'm not at all.
But we'll see what
you can only you can only go up from rock bottom. So
So
Pretty
true.
much.
So
Pretty
true.
much.
anyway,
Any final thoughts or quick ideas before
I
we
just
close
wanted to
on the
put one
episodes?
thing out
Yes.
in regards to why he would want the Darksaber.
Mm-hmm.
If he was Force sensitive, like you guys posit,
Mm-hmm.
well, one of the signature features of a Force sensitive user is his weapon.
Mm-hmm.
What better weapon to have than the Darksaber, which you know exists, and you basically can't track down any Jedi. They're all but dead.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a weapon that's wielded by Sith or Jedi, so that would make it perfect because he's not necessarily Sith or Jedi, but there's maybe Force sensitivity.
And then he can't make one of his own, so appropriate it.
And I think there's another interesting fact about the Darksaber because the Darksaber is different than the lightsaber in that, I know, in that it actually amplifies the emotion of the user. You know what I'm saying? So it gives a little bit more power in that respect. So, but this is something that we're going to be, finding out more in season 2 and maybe some of the other properties that Star Wars and Disney has.
So, I think we all love this episode. We have a lot of thoughts. I'm sure we'll be discussing more about it in the future.
faith has been restored for me in the Star Wars universe.
Thank you, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, Taika Waititi, everyone else who worked on this that I didn't mention,
Rick
and all the actors.
Famuyiwa.
Rick Famuyiwa.
Bryce Dallas Bryce
She
Howard. or
directed
whatever.
Bryce
Bryce
Dallas Howard.
Dallas
Yeah,
Howard.
she directed an episode as well. She directed last week's episode, didn't she?
No,
Episode
no,
six?
she
Or was
did.
it six?
She
Yeah,
did.
she
She
did
did
six.
the
Which was a well-directed episode, even if it wasn't necessarily super
Wait, was
tied
it
No,
to
six?
the
no,
game.
No,
it
she
wasn't
did
6.
5.
It was the one where they were on that planet with the.
Or was that 4? I think that was 4.
think
It was the one
4.
right after.
Yes.
Yeah, it was number 4. It's
Yeah,
the
I
one
think
where
it
It
like
was number 4.
Okay. But again, just
Just
we
amazing
have some
job,
great
guys.
creative minds behind this, great
Amazing
directors, great showrunners, great writing by Jon Favreau. Thank you again for restoring our faith in Star Wars canon and continuity. That's it, guys. We're gonna wrap it up there. This was a great episode, talking about a great show. If you were listening to this, you've probably already seen it. Go watch it again, because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna watch the whole season all over again, because we got to wait until fall 2020 for season 2, which Favreau announced today. But thank you, Jon Favreau, for that. I can't wait to see some of the episodes that Carl Weathers is going to direct.
I was just about to say that.
What?
Yeah, he's going to direct season 2 episode. But we're really looking forward to season 2. They left this season off on a great foot. But that's it. Thank you all once again for joining us on another episode of Get Geek. Check us out on iTunes. Share and subscribe, rate and share. Give us any comments you have on the episode, any comments you have on the podcast. Again, we always would love to hear what you guys think we should talk about, what you love that we've already talked about. engage us on Facebook and Insta and everywhere else. We would like to have discussions with all of you, the fans, and maybe in the future we can do a podcast that includes you guys. That would be really awesome if we could talk to some of you, live and in person. We just want to make this again a community. So check us out, guys. And again, thank you for listening. And signing off, I am Jose.
Wolfie, peace out.
This is AJ.
This is Walt, and this is The Way.
Eli, and I have spoken.
Thank you a million
Mine sucks
times.
now.
And as always, my friends out there in the internet world, stay geeky.